So I grew up with tennis in Rome. I'm from Rome, and then I never left tennis as a priority of my life. So as a player, as a junior, I had the luck to be world champion. I was number one in the world ITF, and I won the Orange Bowl that time in 1985. That is a very big thing, especially at the time. And then I had the possibility to have a professional career for 11 years. Got some one ATP event. I was there. I was top 100 for many years, 71, best ranking. So I beat many good players. So I was not that consistent, but I'm proud of what I did as a player. And then I never left the tour because I start to feel very quickly the vocation to be a coach. So I was still playing. For 1 year, I played doubles with one of my first player I coached, Takao Suzuki from Japan. He was number one Japanese player for 10 years, and I was coaching all his career. And that's how I started. And then Monica Seles asked me to be her practice partner. I had the privilege to be on court for many months with Monica. She won the Australian Open. I was in the team, and this is incredible, unforgettable time. And then I kept working with the players in the tour, let's say 50% in ITP and 50% in WTA. And Coach Anna Smachnova, she was top 15 in the world. She got to the WTA Master in Los Angeles, and then Davide Sanguinetti, an Italian player, and then Michael Berrer, Simone Polelli, and then the highlight, of course, is Robin Soderling. He called me when he was number 5 in the world, and an incredible time. He won a lot. This time we won 3 ATP events in a row. So I was lucky enough to have a very success, and now I'm here in the States.
So you've coached ATP and WTA players. What's the biggest difference?
Well, I think it's the communication, mainly communication, because you have to change mode. You have to mode the WTA. You know that in one end it's easier because we have incredible level of commitments and wish and professionalism, but maybe the window of when to communicate is smaller. That's my experience. So you have to be more sensible, and to not really what you say, but when you say. In the WTA, that's the difference I found. In the men's, you have larger window, so you can talk, and you don't have to be that careful. But on the other hand, it's the discipline is not as much, and you have to be a little bit more firm on ensure the discipline. But all I said is all normal, is all part of the job to be a point of reference for getting better. Of course, that's why the coaching exists. But to see the difference, this is the main difference I found, is communication.
What does it take to be a good coach on the tour?
Well, I believe the key word is empathy. Empathy is a word coming from Old Greek, which means in pathos, from Old Greek, which means one is the emotion of the other. So it's mutual, and you have to establish a good, again, communication, good feeling. And empathy is not antipathy. This means that you don't feel good with, or sympathy. That doesn't means to feel good, but just feel, to have be aware of what the other feels and grow together. You can grow together. The coach can grow a lot working with the player, and of course the other way around. So you need to have be able to establish a good empathy, and each player you coach is never the same. You have to start from scratch every time.
You have a lot of young coaches that are going to be participating in this event. If it's one little thing that you can tell a young coach that is coming up.
Don't do for the money. Money is a tool, is not the final goal. You do this because you are rewarded from making your passion your job. You don't do this if you are not incredibly passionate for tennis. If you're not waking up every morning happy to go to a tennis court, happy to go to the tournaments, even through the losing, through the mistakes.
Your presentation is about the power of storytelling. Okay, well, what can you tell us about that?
The storytelling is very powerful and is underutilized. I think if I remember when I was a kid, I was listening, I was had the privilege to be, for example, 6 years as Adriano Panatta as a captain of my team in Davis Cup, and no phones, no mobile phones, no computer, no internet. So I was normal to talk after the dinner, before going to bed. Everybody sits around the hall of the hotel and tell stories, and the inspiration comes from the stories, the learning to make you think, to know the history. The older people tell you what they did before you, can only improve yourself. So I know I use this a lot. I have practically never-ending archive of stories after 35 years of being in the business, in tournaments, in tennis, in junior, and WTA, ATP, slams, Davis Cup, league match, you name it. And every time I see the young listening carefully and remember, I see guys that I told the story 10 years before, he still remember my story. So it means that he's he absorbed the story, and he absorbed the teaching, the learning. Actually, they're learning that you get from stories. So I think it's worth it to go back a little bit more in time.
Tell us one good story.
French Open, I think 88 or 89, maybe 89. First round, I see the draw. I pick up Guillermo Vilas. No, he was still playing. So I played Guillermo Vilas in Roland Garros. And I was so scared. And he was my idol. I was his ball boy. And I think he was his last French Open. He announced that he was the last French Open. It was at the end of the career. And I played, in this case, you can go very good or very bad. I played so good. He was, of course, not the Vilas that we know that he was winning the French Open a couple of years before, but he was still good. But I played very well. I was winning 6-2, 6-4, 6-5-3. No, the match was over. And on match point, a very good point, he passed me. And court number 2, that was different before. Now they changed. In French Open was the traditional old court, full. The people was not fitting in the stadium. Everybody started to shout, Vilas, 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 Vilas. So we couldn't play for 10 minutes, So because it was the match point, maybe the last point that he played in Roland Garros. I was almost in tears. I put down my racket. I still have goosebumps to tell. I put down my racket and I start to go, Vilas, Vilas myself. Because for respect to him, for his career, for the incredible honor and privilege to be the last one on court with him. And then I won the point, and I think he remembered when all the years later he hugged me, and we hugged at the end of the match. And this shows, I think, to the young the respect that you need for how good was Vilas for me as a kid. I was really grateful. Grateful. Besides that, he was my opponent. That it was French Open. So it didn't matter anymore. It mattered that I had the chance to kind of thanking him for what he did for the world of tennis.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that the GPTCA and our institute, we want to bring the best ones of the best, to the conference. And Claudio is one of them. Thank you, Claudio, to be in the conference.
No, thank you for having me.
We have 54 speakers, and probably we're going to have a huge record in terms of the level of the different speakers that we have. That's, for me, it's a privilege to be one of the team working on that. And of course, like I say, to have Claudio. And I strongly believe that in terms of his subject, in terms of storytelling power, will be a very good presentation for many coaches. Because like he said, I think in terms of capture the emotional moment and capture the meaning of the history, the historical moment that Vilas and Claudio did on that Roland Garros, but many times happen, is the key aspect to with our purpose. Our purpose is to bring a new paradigm of coaches, because we are probably in the second half of our life, and I think our duty and our purpose is to bring a new paradigm for coaches. That's why GPTCA and Segal Institute, we are working all together. That's why we say it's a team of speakers working together to develop something special for them, for people. My question will be, in terms of how you, because now Italy is coming again, no, probably from since your good times, now Italy is coming again with a great players. Probably is not the topic of the conference.
It fits with my presentation because the story behind each one of these Italian players, if you have to look one by one separately, tells you how this went. And when you put the seed, the plant at some point is flourishing. So for years, I told to Leonardo Caperchi that he was the coach of Fognini when he was a teenager, and he's the first one to talk into top 100. Said we start to get the respect from the rest of the world when we start to win outside Italy. Fognini was winning, I think, in South America a lot, and then the other countries, they start to see us differently. When I say us, I mean the Italians that travel, so coaches and players first of all, and coaches that they are willing to give their family time, and sometimes problem with family because they are so many weeks away. I travel 35 weeks per year for 20 more years because you want to make it with no guarantee to make to have reward, to make results, to make money, to pay your bills, just for in the name of the love of tennis. And many Italians did that. That was the seed, and now we are collecting the flowers, the plants from this, putting the seed. So I coached Bolelli. I took him from 248 to 36 when he was 22 years old. Seppi with Sartori. Seppi is from the mountains near border with Austria. And guess what? There is a kid, the name is Yannick Sinner, that he always look at Seppi, that he was, they live nearby, they speak main language German. And Sinner was a skier. So he was not even a tennis player until 12 or 13. So his main sport was ski. The ski people was upset because they left ski for tennis. And luckily, Max Sartori, which is now was the coach of Seppi, he saw him. Now he's coaching Cecchinato, but he's the one who really realized that this boy had to go to tennis. So Berrettini, without Vincenzo Santopadre, Berrettini is born in 1996, like Gianluigi Quincy. Quincy in 2013, he won Wimbledon Junior. He beat Koric, Kyrgios, he beat everybody. And he's a great boy, but now he's lost for now. Hopefully one day he will for the top tennis. He's lost. And Berrettini was completely unknown. As I said, I told to Santopadre about college tennis for Berrettini when he was 18. And the coaches, it's funny, it's even funny because the college coach sometimes told me, it's not good enough, but he was not known. If you look at the results that time, they were right. They say that we don't have a scholarship, it's not good enough yet. So he would be the best recruiting ever in the college tennis. Now he's number 8 in the world. But why? Because Vincenzo Santopadre believed on him. Caruso without Paolo Canova from Sicily. So we go from the top of Italy, north near Austria, to the south, Siracusa, where they are. Is the other side of Italy. So it's a completely different culture, story, dialects, mentality. But still we have Caruso that is a great player. And is another symbol of the success of Italy in the world. I can go on. Sonego was a soccer player. He was not even a top 10 in Italy as a junior. And then his coach, Arpino, he believed on him. He convinced him to play tennis, first of all. So I mentioned Berrettini, Sinner, Sonego, Caruso. So that's the way to look at Italians. The private, individual, private. There's nothing to do with planning, nothing to do with the federation. It's only the heart and the passion of coaches that many cases they were players before. I forgot Simone Vagnozzi. That was the first one coaching Cecchinato improved so much. He was the first one to open the door to top tennis to the Italians. Semi-final French Open 2018. Beat Djokovic again. And now he's coaching Travaglia. Travaglia is another top player. So it looks like it's a never ending. I can go on. We have young players like Nardi, like Zeppieri, like Musetti. Musetti grew up with his coach in his club because the coach believed on him and he stays still with him. No, he didn't win. So the story. So this is perfect question for this presentation because you have to see the story behind. When you tell the story there is behind each one of these Italian players, you learn how it works.